Welcome to NBA Top Shot Weekly. I am Alex Kennedy. He is Oliver Maroney, and we have a special guest today. He is the community lead for Dapper Labs and NBA Top Shot, here to answer all of our questions about Top Shot. We always like having people like you, Jacob, because we can go much more in depth than maybe some of our other guests who are newer to Top Shot, where we're kind of just explaining things or not really going super in depth. So, Jacob Eisenberg, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Excited to be here.
We appreciate it. Oliver, Jacob, first of all, before we get started, how are you doing? How's everything been?
I mean, it's been good, man. It's been good. I mean, the season is starting to come to an end. I think we have an idea of what's going to take place, at least early on for these playoffs, to understand like kind of what the matchups could be. I think people are starting to understand who the MVP is, understand some of those season-ending awards. But yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
How about you, Jacob? I know you've been super busy. You guys have a lot going on over there. How have you been?
Good. A little tired, but overall excited. Everything Oliver just talked about, I can't wait. The playoff. I think every year we get into kind of the doldrums of the NBA season right around March Madness time. And I think the play-in tournaments really helped us this year, kind of keep intrigue, keep like the playoff picture super interesting all along. But definitely excited to get some high stakes basketball going very soon.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump in and start talking Top Shot. I do want to mention we have a giveaway today. If you guys entered at basketballnews.com/topshot, then you're entered in for that giveaway. So we're going to give that pack away here at the end. Oliver and I are also going to open up some packs and we'll show kind of that pack opening experience. And then, we're going to talk about Top Shot. So Oliver and I have some questions, but we're also going to take questions from you guys here in the chat. So if you guys have any questions for Jacob, he's the man that knows all this different stuff. He does his office hours. And if you missed any of those, then definitely get your questions in here. And if we don't answer your question, then as mentioned, he does office hours. And that's one thing that we appreciate about Top Shot. You guys, whether it's, yourself or a lot of the employees, are very transparent, whether it's coming on things like this or doing the office hours. So that is appreciated.
Yeah, well, thanks. We try. I mean, I think that there's nothing more important to our collectors than having confidence that they are making well-informed decisions. So there are instances where we're genuinely sharing info that came from a meeting half an hour prior. And like, that's all. Like, there are times where we don't get it right, but I think what I'd love to kind of convey to the community is we're always trying to keep your best interest primarily at heart. So I appreciate it. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, if you do miss office hours or you don't get your question in here, every single week, every single office hours, actually, we record it, we timestamp it, we put it on our YouTube channel. So if there's ever a burning question that you're curious about, go to our YouTube and you'll see all in the description, you'll see all the timestamped kind of topics we touch on.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, no, I've tuned into many office hours and gotten some good nuggets and information about kind of where your guys' heads are at in terms of the strategy and the approach and like some of the things you're thinking about, some of the things that are long-term, short-term. And I think what is so unique about Top Shot is it opens up this massive can of worms, right? Which is great for you guys and also probably a lot of work at the same time, where you open up this can of worms to allow everybody to ask their questions, whether it be about hardcourt, whether it be about, withdrawals, whether it be about this, that, and the other thing. And so it's quite remarkable to have that like one-stop shop where you can ask those questions and get some form of answer. And what I give you guys a lot of credit with is your transparency with those answers. So Jacob, I've heard you multiple times on the office hours mention, I don't really have an ETA on this, but I'll bring it back to our team and see what we can do. And that to me is very important because I think as a community in Top Shot, you want to try and give people the best experience possible. And in doing so, you're not lying. You're not, trying to sell something to people. All you're trying to do is give them the best information that you have possible and make it as good as it possibly can be. So credit to you guys for the way that you have
real quick
done that. Yeah, go ahead.
J.E. Skeets just commented, Jacob, blink twice if the Cool Cats Sevens challenge will feature a current #1 picks.
Here we go.
We've got something new in store. I'm not blinking twice, JE, but I can guarantee you the community is going to be intrigued by how we're rolling out our next Cool Cats Challenge reward.
Ooh,
there we go.
Ooh. That kind of moves into one of our questions here for you, Jacob, and I've been very curious on this. Challenges. They are Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know what the best word for it is. Everybody's either loves them, hates them. There's some in between. What are your guys' like future plans, and also what have you guys looked at from previous challenges? I think specifically if you want to hone in on a few that have maybe gone a little bit different from what some of the people perceived or expected. The Seeing Stars, the All-Star / Rising Stars stuff, and I think that time frame, I guess you could say like that. I want to say it's like early March to like late March-ish area for challenges. Can you speak to that a little bit, and then also kind of what you guys are doing in the future for challenges and how that'll look?
Sure. Yeah. So good question. I do think that we're primarily, when it comes to challenges and challenge rewards, I'm not naive. There are a lot of collectors in our community that are pursuing them from a monetary standpoint. And I think there will always be this equilibrium with challenge rewards in particular, where word got out initially that it was a guaranteed moneymaker. So then everyone started doing it. And then the edition sizes on the rewards got super large and the demand was less than what the supply was. So they became less profitable, or in some cases you would lose money going in on the challenge. And I think as negative reinforcement happens, then less people are going to do it. And then they're going to become more profitable again. And then more people are going to do it. And we're going to have that kind of balance to weigh for a long time. What I can tease here, and you'll see the first inklings of that some point in May, is this concept of flexible challenges. So before we can kind of build it into the product, we kind of need to see the community feedback, and maybe we're going to do something around showcases to make it happen as kind of a minimum viable product. But this concept of, rather than needing that exact, I'm trying to think of, without spoiling it, instead of needing that exact Zion Williamson moment, maybe you need to collect X number of moments from a specific set, or X number of centers, or X number of point guards, or X number of assists. So you have more kind of ways to get the challenge reward without pursuing a very, very specific moment.
Very interesting. Very interesting. That would obviously eliminate some of that pendulum swing that we've seen where prices go up a bunch initially and then they go down and then they kind of come back up towards the end of the challenge, and then they, obviously they do what they do after the challenge is over. That is a very intriguing aspect. Alex, I know you had some questions as well. That was one that was like kind of burning in my mind, kind of thinking about some of the things that we would talk about. So.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask about the trade tickets, because that's a recent announcement that you guys came out with, and I see people in the comments here asking about them and wondering if we could talk about them. So first of all, people that don't know, if you have moments that you don't want, you can trade them in and use those tickets toward packs. Some of those will be redistributed. Some of them will be new moments, it sounds like. But can you share some of the details of that, and then if there is any kind of timetable to roll that out?
Sure. So we're looking at a few months. All I know from our engineering side is that we've scoped what the project would entail, and we know that we can do it, which gave us the confidence to kind of release the plan. We are working on a bunch of different things, including just stability, UI improvements on a day-to-day basis. So something like this is a longer-term project that might take a few months to build. But yeah, I think the general the thought and the inspiration behind it is, not every moment you pull from a pack is going to be a moment you want to hold on to forever. And rather than kind of listing it in the marketplace and competing with everyone else in this kind of race to the bottom to offload maybe the moment that you're not super excited about, maybe there could be a new utility through trade tickets. So you're going to be able to submit any one of your moments, be it a legendary, be it the most common of your base set moments. You can submit it into this kind of community sync, if you will, where those moments will be worth one trade ticket each. And then we'll have limited edition drops similar to a queue, but rather than entering the queue based on your certain kind of eligibility requirements around moments you own in your collection, you're going to enter based on how many trade tickets you own and whether you have enough trade tickets to get that pack. Now, to be super clear to the community, we don't know yet how many trade tickets that will necessitate, right? And I think a lot of that will be dynamic based on what the interest from the community is once we build the trade ticket feature and we start to see how many moments are getting submitted and how many collectors have X number of trade tickets. I think when we look at our community on a holistic level, more times than not, we're looking at percentages than raw numbers. So rather than saying we're going to make the trade ticket eligibility accessible to 100,000 collectors, we're more looking at it, can we get maybe 50% of our collectors eligible based on the number of trade tickets they have? I don't know. We'll kind of figure that out. These are numbers I'm making up for the context of this discussion. But yeah, I think that will be a really exciting and cool opportunity for us. And I think the community in general will have a lot of fun with these trade tickets. And I don't think it necessarily stops. In fact, I can say with certainty, it won't just stop after base set Series 1 reserve packs, right? There are a lot of challenge rewards from Series 1 that we might distribute in this mechanism long term. There are potentially limited edition moments that we might mint in the future specific for trade ticket queues. There's a lot of utility around this. And what I can say with certainty is a lot of collectors are going to be hoarding up moments at the floor to try to get a ton of trade tickets. And I know that we're going to have a lot more people entering these queues pursuing these packs than we'll have packs to go around. So if you're doing that approach, I just want to caution to everyone, a lot of other people are also doing that approach. And the last thing I want is for someone to make, really kind of, what's the right word? Really strong purchases or really strong impulses to buy up a lot of a certain moment with the sole intention of trying to get trade ticket queue access and then get unlucky in the queue and then get mad at us for it. I know it will happen, but with supply and demand, it's we get yelled at every single time we do a drop that this is my 4th straight or this is my 10th straight. And I get it. Like, it's super frustrating. And I'm sorry for all collectors that are having that negative experience. But when we're talking about you have a 20-25% chance of getting it most drops, then the odds are actually not with you to get it every time. And more like, I think the funniest example of that was someone complained, this is only the 3rd time, or I've only gotten 3 of the past 11, and I'm just doing the napkin map. I'm like, you're above the average expectation.
That's more than me.
Right. More than me too. Yeah, exactly. And damn, Jacob, I haven't gotten one in 15 goes or what? No, I'm just joking. I'm joking with you. But
well, that's intentional.
I was serious for a
it's
second.
random for everyone else, but we have Oliver blocked, so that's intentional.
It's influencer, right? That's what Jack says. Yeah. No. On the queue and the line and the packs and all that stuff, are you still tampering or you're kind of tinkering with the idea of having the queues be for specific collectors? Have you guys still kind of considered like other eligibility metrics to look at? I think I heard some people say the last one was pretty good. I can't recall what it was. You had to spend X amount in the actual marketplace, not on packs, or have X amount of moments. And I don't remember what that number was, maybe 15.
I think it was 15.
So are you guys still kind of tinkering with that and changing that? And could that still be something we see changes to, I guess, in the future?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I can tease here that we're going to do throwdowns, which is going to be our next rare drop. And we're going to roll out a very rough draft of what collector's score could look like for throwdowns. So you as a collector, we're going to take a snapshot of your collection, and certain types of moments in your collection are going to be worth more than others. And it's not going to be, you need to have 15 commons or 1 rare. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a much more holistic approach of, do you have these moments? And I think, again, it's going to be a rough draft. So long term, I'm hoping that there's more gamification to the score, maybe stacking moments gets you extra amplifiers in your point total. But it will be really interesting because this will be the first time we're rolling out a kind of uniform number that's very binary of you qualify because you're above this number in collector's score, or you don't because you're below this number. And we'll make it super clear in our interface when you go to the pack page whether your account is eligible for the drop based on collector's score. And we'll have kind of a rubric as to how we're grading each moment in your collection on a sliding scale of how many points they're worth toward your collector's score.
One question I see a few people asking in the chat, I think David Wong Violin and then Daniel Told You, they both asked this question. Is there a possibility that we could see like a rare drop for people who haven't gotten a rare or legendary pack yet? Like if they're just getting, stress test packs, or they've gotten common packs, but they've missed out when it's been a rare moment. Could we see that? Or is that too tough because then it incentivizes people trying to get around it and make a new account and things like that? I guess, is that something you guys have talked about?
Oh, we talk about it all the time, but I think you answered the question with that.
Yeah.
Like the community, hear it from me and make no mistake. The number of things that we could do, if not for the fact that all of these ideas would get abused incredibly easily, it's kind of like, it's frustrating because I agree, Alex and Oliver, if we could create opportunities like that, oh man, such a slam dunk as an idea. But then if you're specifically tailoring it, or you're specifically tailoring rebound packs to people that were specifically unlucky, there are just so many ways to kind of frame the conversation of, oh, I got unlucky, but you're actually just intentionally like sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
And that could come as like you enter the queue and you have a good spot, and then you're like, oh no, I want to frame myself as unlucky. And maybe I'm cynical. I've really seen it all. I've heard it all.
No, I'm sure. And I can't even imagine the amount of messages and just everything under this. I can't imagine how many messages you guys must get on a daily basis about pack drops and about why they haven't gotten one or why they have, and this or that or the other thing. I don't even know.
We see it in our mentions, and we don't even work for Top Shot like you do. So I can't imagine what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Some days are better than others. And that's kind of the catch-22, right? We know we get more support tickets on days that we do more drops, or the days that we do drops. And I know my DMs are particularly more colorful on days that we do drops. But like we also know the flip side is not doing drops and then getting bombarded with the when packs. Like we need to. Anyway, I'm not trying. I have the best job in the world. I'm super grateful for my opportunity every day to kind of connect with everyone in the community. So I don't mean to complain about it. It's just, everyone in the community has an opinion. Rolling out, we do reservation packs, so we make everyone have the ability to get packs every day. You're flooding the marketplace. You're ruining the economy.
Too cheap.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I have all these moments. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
And I think you've said it before too. Like at the end of the day, it's better than the alternative where people don't care. At least they're passionate and caring because it means you have a successful product. But so it is better than the alternative. But yeah, it's funny. That was a question I was going to ask you because we do get that a lot. People in the chat or people I just know personally in my life that are like, hey, why are they making so many moments available? And why are they doing so many pack drops? But like you said, there's really no way to keep everyone happy. But I guess what goes into that conversation, and what would you tell people that have that question?
Yeah, so we do have economists on our team that are constantly kind of looking at the marketplace, looking at releases, what we know to be true, and this is kind of how we frame it internally and how I would frame it to the community. There are known knowns, known unknowns, and unknown unknowns. And what we try to control for the most are the known knowns. So we know for a fact that the next rare drop that we do is throwdowns. Known unknown is we know for a fact that we don't know when that drop will happen. We have some ideas, but when it comes to something like common moments in the marketplace, it's always been our intent for those moments to be readily available for every collector. And of course, when we announced trade tickets, we saw a sudden kind of
spike.
Boom. Yeah, we saw a spike to the floor, and that wasn't enough of a reason not to introduce trade tickets. We're excited about trade tickets for decades to come. So we knew that there would be an unintended consequence putting it out that, the floor would rise. But we're kind of complementing that with the reality that, as often as we can, and hopefully we'll get to a point where it's weekly, it might be 2 to 3 times a month as we're getting started, we're going to have an opportunity for new collectors to come in and reserve a pack and get a pack within, at most 9 days of your Top Shot experience. You sign up on a Wednesday afternoon, then you have to reserve for next Friday's drop. But otherwise, you're going to be able to get a pack within a week or so. So there is going to be an increase in common moments hitting the economy, hitting the ecosystem. But that's kind of always been our intent. We want collectors who have a connection to particular stars from around the league to be able to come to Top Shot, collect those moments, and not feel a significant hole in their pocket because of it, right? And then, of course, as you start building up your collection, then you start seeking out more premium content, more premium items. But for me, I don't think it's a problem if there's an all-star moment that's going for a few bucks in the marketplace long-term. I think that's okay, because what that means is more collectors are coming to Top Shot with an opportunity to enjoy it. And I hear the kind of counterpoint to that is, okay, well, then what's stopping non-star players from becoming $1 or $2 in the marketplace and just becoming trade tickets, essentially? And that might happen. That could be kind of the path this takes. All I know to be true for sure is opening up packs is super fun, whether you pull 3 studs or 3 guys that you might end up turning into trade tickets. So I think that the more packs we get out to the community, the more fun the Top Shot experience is, the more you can kind of tailor onboarding, the more you can tailor all tactics about getting people familiar with Top Shot around the main event, which is your first pack, or building up to, treating it almost like a video game, right?
Yeah.
Like where rare and legendary drops are going to be the boss levels. And in order to qualify for boss levels, you have to do your homework and start collecting more entry level kind of entry levels of the video game, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I quick question on the packs, because I've seen this question floated around quite a few times, and it's not necessarily on pack drops. It's more on the selection of moments in the packs, because I've seen people, like, for instance, I think there was a legendary drop. I'm pretty sure it was a legendary drop. There's so many drops, I can't keep my head straight, but I believe there was a legendary drop, and where I think it was somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 people, give or take. Maybe it was a little less than that. They had to be eligible. You had to have 15 moments, spend $1,000 in the marketplace, or whatever the number was. But I saw some people talking about how a legendary pack possesses not only a legendary moment, but then 3 MGLE moments and then a bunch of common moments. Right. And why wouldn't you basically randomize the legendary moments into a select 4,000 packs and give everybody essentially an MGLE pack with, like, let's say it's 2 MGLE moments or 1? You could almost accommodate for the 60,000 or 50 or whatever thousand collectors were eligible for that drop for those, like
trading cards.
Like trading cards, essentially. You have those big pulls, the gold card or whatever, the serial number to 10 or whatever. It explained to me the whole, I don't know how this all works, but somebody told me there was some sort of law or rule where you cannot do certain things, but you can do other things. I'm just curious how card companies can get around this, but not necessarily like a Top Shot could potentially do that. Or is that something you could potentially do, and we haven't really seen that yet?
Sure. Well, I want to be super explicit with the audience that I am a basketball fan that is decent at community and marketing. Absolutely not a lawyer. So
don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just taking what I've heard internally. And there is a school of thought that we can kind of re-examine what that looks like. From my understanding, Fortnite with loot boxes kind of created this industry, and regulators got privy to this being essentially gambling. And they kind of, and maybe it's because it's digital that it has slightly different kind of mechanics than physical trading cards. Mm-hmm. But long story short is, I think there is some avenue that we can look into, but when we're working with the NBA and the PA, we want to be on, not only our best behavior, but we want to make sure that we're doing everything exactly by the book, and anything that might have gray area, it's just not worth it because we have too many other great things going for us to put ourselves in a position that's anywhere risky. So on that front, specifically around kind of putting legendary moments in rare packs or rare moments in common packs, trust me, that was like a question I asked on day one when I joined the team. And from my understanding, that is something that is just a little too murky for us until we have clearer guidance from regulators of whether we could or could not.
Got it.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no. And then to follow up on that too, just out of curiosity, have you considered I'm sure you've considered all this stuff, but I'm asking these questions that I get asked all the time in Twitter DMs, so I can get them out and I don't have to answer them anymore. So I apologize. I'm basically venting all of these office hour questions that should be posted.
Send the link.
I'm just,
It's great. No, I get these questions, and I'm happy to, like, I never have felt as much like someone campaigning for an election, because like you watch a politician, they give the same exact speech 40 times, and all the marketing strategists and experts say you need to say something every single day. Otherwise it's not resonating. So I kind of finally feel what that means, right? Like, and you'll ask questions, and I'll probably give the same answer at office hours Friday and next office hour. I think that's fine. It's healthy. If it's a question that people are confused about, we need to do a better job of making that answer more explicit somewhere.
For sure. So the follow-up question really is, have you considered a pack drop where you essentially allow all the collectors that are eligible? So for instance, let's just take this legendary drop as an example. Remove the legendaries out, and you just have MGLE packs for every single eligible person. Have you considered something like that without even the rebound pack aspect? Like, if you, like, for a rare drop, I guess is the kind of question that I was getting, was, had that been something that had been considered or something that you had looked at?
So there are two kind of avenues to doing that, right? The first avenue is we make it harder to get access to the drop. So we make it more restrictive. And then we have, and in that case, like, to keep edition sizes small, let's say that we have, 70,000 people have access.
Yeah.
Collectors, 70,001 through probably 200,000 in the pecking order of like how strong their collection is on Top Shot will be livid of, how could they do this to me? Look at how good my collection is. Look at how much I've been working toward it. So that's not a great experience.
Got it.
And then the alternative is just creating an even bigger kind of collection of rare moment, like just having 200 rare moments in a certain drop. And that's just at our scale, our live ops team that does all the producing of these moments, it's a 4-person operation. It's very small. So, I think there's been a little bit of a little engine that is Dapper Labs, right? Like, we've kind of joined the big leagues overnight, but we're still very much we had our all hands meeting today, and we had 135 people on the call. It's not like we are like Oliver, you're at Cameo. Like, I imagine, like,
Cameo, we have like 300 and something. I don't know. I don't want to drop the cup, but yes, very similar vibes here. There's 15 people in customer service or whatever, and like that we're a small engine, like you said.
Right.
You mean Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant aren't on your all hands meeting calls every time?
Man, that would be something, right?
Oh, man.
I remember like who was the first player I onboard? It must have been Bogdan Bogdanovic. And just like waking up that day thinking like, I have a business call with Bogdan Bogdanovic was like a pretty surreal feeling. And now it's
a regular thing.
Bogdan's become like one of the breakout stars of the second half of the season, but it is more often than not during the week, I'll have a meeting or two with some athletes that growing up I idolized. So that's been cool.
Diplo, or just any random celebrity. I've seen like on IG, you're opening packs with different people every day. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's sometimes I pinch myself, but I take a lot of solace in knowing that we're putting the community first and foremost in a lot of our decisions. So the kind of glitzy stuff like a pack opening with Diplo is obviously very nice, but I would not feel comfortable doing it if we weren't already kind of working away to make sure that with or without celebrities, the community is pretty happy with their day-to-day experience.
No, for sure. I have a question, and I remember one of the first times we talked about Top Shot, I think we jumped on Zoom and did like an interview about Top Shot, and you filled me on everything. We kind of, I interviewed you basically, kind of like this, and you had mentioned that there were in the future potentially going to be like Genesis moments, like 1-of-1 moments, maybe eventually 1-of-10 moments, things like that. Is there a timetable for that? What's the latest on a Genesis moment possibly popping up?
It's gonna happen for sure. Timeline on it is a little harder to say. If I had to guess, I would say probably sometime in the off season. So certainly not during the playoffs, to the best of my knowledge. But I think we are kind of putting the wheels in motion, thinking of like, if we're doing this, who should we start it with? But those moments, as you mentioned, they are minted. If you want to go to Platinum Ice, like if you're tracking what we've been minting, we have been minting. Yeah, Oliver can attest to it. So we have those moments. I think we have a really unique and exciting rollout strategy for not necessarily like the biggest Genesis kind of attention grabbers that we'll do, but like even just the more commonplace role player in the NBA, if we have a Platinum Ice, I think our strategy around how we'll get those out to the to fans will be, it's one of the things I'm most excited about long term.
Think about this one.
But we've got a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot before we can share more there.
Sure.
I like it. I like the direction. Should we just hop in and open these packs here? Or
I have one more question that we could jump in a pack. When we had Mark Cuban on and some other guests, we talked about how the NBA's embraced this. Since then, we've seen, the Rising Stars were announced through Top Shot, and there's been some cool things like that. We've heard, people throw out different ideas, like you could go to a game and get a special moment if you're a season ticket holder, or different things like that. Or I know Jack Settleman, when he was on, talked about different things he would like to see the NBA do. As far as the NBA continuing to embrace this, because I'm of the belief that eventually we're going to see Top Shot commercials during games and people at game, in arenas getting moments and all this different stuff. I think there's plenty of different ways to, grow this and have it be mutually beneficial for both sides. But what are some things that you would like to see potentially the NBA do to continue to embrace this? And is there anything that you can reveal to us or hint at as far as future things that the NBA might be trying to do with Top Shot?
So let's bucket this into the unknowns category of like, I don't know if it's technically possible. I don't know if there's appetite on the NBA's side to do it. But I think, like, as you said, Alex, the fact that fans are going to start coming to arenas, the fact that it is all digital, maybe we could create QR codes where you can link up your Top Shot account and you can redeem something, and maybe that takes form in, and I'm getting really aspirational and probably digging ourselves a hole, because again, I have no idea if we can do this long term. But sure. How cool would it be if you're watching the NBA Finals and there's a pop-up of a QR code that says you have 20 seconds to redeem this moment from this player at the line, right? Like something like that, where you could do it from your living room, and it really makes the whole Top Shot collector experience part like Pokemon Go, trying to fulfill quests in real time while also just kind of enjoying games and having gamification mechanisms for the NBA to keep you more engaged while you're watching.
That's awesome, because I think right now we see there's so many people that just watch the highlights later, or, pull up on Instagram and see the coolest plays from the game, but they're not sitting there watching the entire game. I know that's something that, I mentioned Mark Cuban, he's talked about that people, especially like cord cutters and younger fans, are turning to social media and just watching the highlights. So if there's things like that incentivize sitting down and watching a full game, that makes a ton of sense. And I think it works for both parties. Obviously, as you mentioned, it's an idea. It's not something that's happening. It's something that Jacob just thought of. But I think that
no quotes here. Yeah, exactly.
Something along those lines would be really cool. I think that's awesome.
So We should probably get into the pack openings,
Oh, yeah.
but I did while I'm pulling up my screen. Should I do mine first, Alex, or what?
Yeah, go ahead. You pull yours up.
All right.
While you do that, I see some people asking about the pack opening. So some people said if they entered during the Rudy Gobert interview, are you still entered? So this is a new giveaway. We did the LeBron giveaway and we gave away a pack each week. And then this is a new giveaway. So it's the same link, basketballnews.com/topshot. And we're giving away a pack at the end of this episode. So, and you'll be entered for the next 4 weeks. So that giveaway expired. This is a new one. It's similar. You basically have to, I think, follow us on Twitter and download our app. It's still very similar. And if you did the previous things, you just have to click the 3 icons and you're entered. But yeah, it is a new giveaway, so definitely go to that link and re-enter if you entered previously. But good question. All right, let me go ahead and pull up.
Got my screen pulled up, and I actually had a question about this really quick, Jacob, because I'm very curious on this, and I think it's something that would, I don't know. This is my own little Top Shot idea that's come up as I've started sifting through marketplace stuff. So I have this showcase here, the 503 homegrown talent. So I've taken all the guys that I used to cover, and I took the area code 503, Portland, Oregon. And I'm starting to do this with other players and other cities with their area codes from where they were born and raised. But what I've come to find out is like, I'll go to the marketplace, I'll find the serial number that I'm looking for in that category. And then I go to the person's profile. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, well, Twitter's sometimes linked, but a lot of times it's not. Have you guys considered any sort of like DM feature or messaging feature where I could then reach out to like a potential collector and be like, hey, I'd really love your 206 serial number. What would you let it go for? Can you list it on the marketplace for X? I don't know if that's been brought up or not, but it's something I've come across a bunch, kind of going through and looking for. You know, I feel like I'm kind of the ding-a-ling of the area codes at this point, but
I know they've been talking about like an offer button too, which is kind of similar.
Yes, exactly. Have you guys thought any further about that, or is that something that may be coming down the pipeline? Obviously, we've talked about a bajillion things that are coming down the pipeline, and you told us about how small everything is. So I'm not expecting this to happen overnight, but very curious as to what the plans are there.
Yeah. So I think Alex put it well. Like, a bids system or an offer system, absolutely on a roadmap. Let me kind of recontextualize or maybe offer some insight around a reason we wouldn't do kind of a messaging system. And I think it's possible one day, but the amount of moderation that goes into user-generated content is immense. And our team is, super consumed with all the other stuff we have going on. The last thing we need is, we create this feature for the Olivers of the world to reach out to collectors in good faith, and then it just becomes people cursing each other out and
by the Alexes of the world.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be, is there, and maybe this is an easier fix, is just like linking a Twitter and an Instagram or linking some of these social media apps to your thing. And I know you guys kind of prompt it, but I will say it was even like when I started, I didn't really, yes, Twitter and Discord links, I've seen the comments here, Twitter and Discord links are absolutely great. I think what this person says is perfect. Just encouraging people to link those would be an incredible step forward, just so there is always that link to message someone or, potentially hit them up. Because this is interesting, my experience. I'm going to call it out here. Malachi Flynn, I covered when he was in high school and stuff. I saw his 206 first moment, and I was like, 206 in Seattle. Give it. I want the moment. And I saw it go up in the marketplace. Somebody sniped it, and I'm like, I'll pay like 3-4x whatever you paid for it. Like, good job for you sniping it, but like I'll pay 3 or 4x for it. And I just unfortunately couldn't contact the person, find the person, and so it would be amazing if we could have some sort of setup where that's promoted more or put in more. And I found some other people having the same issue with finding specific moments and contacting people to purchase those. So anyways.
Yeah, I think it's a great use case and a good point. One thing that we are working on, and I'm really excited about it, is talking to third-party tools and softwares that will maybe enable us to force you to link your Top Shot collection to gain entry into our Discord, and then being able to use our Discord as kind of create exclusive opportunities around how good a collector you are. So maybe not collector score, but maybe you need to own 10 moments from this player, and then we're going to bring this player into a chat room with everyone that owns 10 moments from that player.
That's cool.
To have chats. So things like that are very much on our radar, and things we want to build in the, hopefully within the next year. I would say things like that could happen. And likely build it sooner, and then figure out ways to make those perks of being a strong collector in the Discord even better. But with Twitter, it's a little harder. There aren't as many kind of softwares that integrate NFTs into your Twitter account. Yeah. Discord, there are a couple that have been able to do that. So I think like that will be 100% a way to improve the health of the community on Discord, foster better conversations, foster more accountability. So you can't just come in and be an asshole, frankly.
Yeah.
And then we can also theoretically, and this is kind of maybe revealing too much of how the sausage is made, but like I think that we're in a really good position long term to create channels for newbies to get involved and staff up those channels with our best mods that can give a great onboarding experience. And then once they prove themselves to be, good members of the community, we can graduate them on to other chats where, it just elevates the discourse within Discord that much better.
Yeah, that's really unique. Yeah. And Discord, the beauty about Discord is you can have all these different assignments to people, and you can kind of customize it to whatever collector kind of score or version of whatever that person is or is not doing. So that's really cool to hear. And I feel like you guys were probably one of the first NFTs to really go all in on Discord as a communication device for collectors, for fans, for whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I really like that. So shall we open these?
Yes.
All right.
While you open, I do have one question to kind of throw at Jacob. You can just keep opening, and then we can react as things kind of pop up here. But it's a question I'm sure you get all the time. But
no, no.
I
think this might be one of those instances where those moments are just going to show up in your account.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Do you want to?
I think this is exactly what happened when that 2-pack thing happened, where I opened 2 accidentally. I apologize.
So then, do you want to pull up a new pack, or do you want to just go to your moments? Like, how do you want?
We can just go to my moments, I guess, right? Or we could just run through the moments. I'm good with that.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
It's an error, guys. It happens. Things happen. Oh, here we go. 11,977 out of 15,000. We have Jarrett Culver. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be my best announcing voice.
I love it. That's amazing. No, keep it up. Keep it going.
No, I don't think I want to embarrass myself anymore.
I love that you went there and then immediately regretted it. That's amazing.
I'm making up. Could you imagine? Actually, great idea. We need to have local broadcasters thrown into some of these. It would, oh man, there's so many ideas. We
talked to Bo about that. We went on his podcast and he, was really interested in Top Shot. He's done top 10 plays. He was like, there's some kind of synergy here. So I think that'd be amazing. You guys already did the Mike Conley one where he was kind of commentating. I think that'd be really cool.
For sure.
Mike Breen Bang. I mean,
yeah,
who wouldn't want that?
Absolutely. Oliver had an idea for a Dame Lillard moment with his newest rap single or something from his album playing in the background. There's just so many things that we've talked about in the show that would be cool to see in the future. I know you guys have these conversations every day, and it's probably nothing that you haven't heard already, but yeah, I think that'd be awesome too.
Yeah, just bring Gus Johnson into the studio and have him do every moment. That's what someone in the chat just said. Valanciunas here, 95, 93 out of 15,000. Solid dish from Brandon Clark. Very underrated player, in my opinion. And we've got Deandre.
Someone said, yeah, you definitely aren't the first to think of Lillard rapping his moments. Yeah, it's definitely, I think we talked about it early on here, but I don't think we were the first either. That's definitely a common one.
Sure. Definitely. And then Deandre Ayton, who's been playing really well for the Suns. And, that's a team that kind of is on the rise, it feels like. Jacob, if there is one idea you could put into Top Shot, I'm very curious because I feel like you don't get asked this very often, but what is the idea you're like sold on, want to implement into Top Shot? Like it could be outside the box, could be whatever. I'm just very curious.
Yeah, I mean, there are some limitations with what we can do based on licensing, but like, I don't know, you both are big sports fans. Growing up, I played a ton of MLB Showdown. I don't know if either of you are familiar with them. I think like a digital tabletop game where your moments can battle another person's moments is just such a no-brainer. You have a 20-sided dice, you roll it based on how your how your dice roll goes compared to your opponents, like your moments level up, things like that. I think that's such a no-brainer for down the road. Whether we can pull it off, I think it comes down to licensing of tabletop games. But I loved MLB Showdown, and I think that Top Shot and just digital collectibles in general is super ripe for that kind of Magic the Gathering with the Wizards of the Coast, be it Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Showdown, whatever. Going head to head with your cards is just such a no-brainer long term, I think.
That's very cool. I like it. Someone in the chat said, how many moments do I have to have for LeBron to be my friend? That's hilarious. That's really funny. All right, let's open this up. And then as I mentioned before, we still have a pack to give away. You can enter at basketballnews.com/topshot. Oh no, I got the error too. This is not right, Oliver.
Yeah, we might be having just a bug on the site right now.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Let's go back and see what we got.
This is we brought Jacob on for the wrong show. I'm sorry, Jacob.
Well, I guess it's better me than
I'm gonna say it might be
it's better you than Mark Cuban or someone like that. Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's
Oh wait, no, I just went to the wrong thing. Hold on. My moments. There we go. Okay. Let's see what we got here.
Ooh, KD.
All right. Let's start here. Trae Young, 7,843 out of 15,000. Nice layup there.
How would you guys rank the East? I think there are like 7 teams. Obviously, the top 3 is the top 3, and we can quabble over that order. But then the next 4 teams are all in a tier of their own, it seems. So I'd be curious to hear kind of how you guys would rate that top 7.
That's a great question. Okay, so I would go. It's funny because all season long I was kind of a doubter of Brooklyn, and I do have some concerns about they're going to enter the playoffs probably with only 7 games of experience under their belt with KD, Harden, Irving, and I think the Sixers really match up well against the Nets with Embiid down low and stuff like that. So, but I still do have the Nets at number 1 just because they are so talented. So I would say probably Nets, Sixers, Bucks. I will say I'll preface this by saying I think people are sleeping on the Bucks a bit. I heard I've been on the NBA what's it called? Some of their chat rooms and some what's the Clubhouse. I was blanking there. I've been on the NBA Clubhouse and Richard Jefferson and some people were just blasting the Bucks. Yeah, they have no chance. I'm not ready to say that yet. I think we've seen, their coaching staff has made some adjustments, and I think Drew Holiday's, been getting acclimated throughout the season. I think they could be still interesting come playoff time. And then after that, I would probably say I have it Knicks, Hawks, Heat, Celtics. I think the Heat are much better than their record indicates just because they dealt with so many injuries and COVID absences and things like that. They've been playing well recently. They're really well coached. James Posey wrote a great article for us at basketballnews.com about how you can't ever count the Heat out because of their culture and their coaching, and they're always going to show up come playoff time. We saw it last year. They became the first number 5 seed to make the finals. So I think the Heat could actually surprise some people. I think they're one of those teams that no one wants to run into in the first round. The Hawks have been playing amazing basketball recently, especially, since bringing Nate McMillan on as head coach. I'm a big believer in the Knicks. I know, Jacob, you're a Knicks fan. So I have them 4, to be honest. First of all, we did an article about the Knicks as well, and just how they're positioned for the future. I think not only are they playing so well right now, but they have a great young core. They have up to $60 million in cap space this offseason. They have 7 first-round picks over the next 5 years, 11 second-round picks over the next 6 years, solid coaches and management in place. I'm a big fan of what the Knicks have done. So I have them at number 4. That's my list. Oliver, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably the Nets on top if they're healthy. That's the big question mark, right? If they're healthy, I don't know how many games they've played, but it's not many where all three stars have played together.
I think just
I think it's like, it's some ridiculous number, very low. So I'd probably have the Nets one, but I do agree with you on the Bucks. I think the Bucks are the team. If I was to pick a team to beat in the East right now, I would say the Bucks are the team to beat in the East, just because they've proven over the past 3 to 5 years that they've been pretty consistent in getting to, semifinals, finals, whatever the case may be, conference finals. But I think the Giannis thing is really intriguing to me, because right now he's not even being talked about as an MVP, and he's arguably having his best statistical season in his career, which is just kind of insane to think that, he's won, MVP after MVP, and now he's not even in the conversation. So I like the Bucks. I'd probably say Nets, Bucks, Sixers below them. And then after that, look, the Knicks have been great all season. I don't want to bash them or say that they're not going to do well in the playoffs. I think every time you have Tibbs as a coach and you have some of these young core pieces, along with a really, really, Julius Randle reminds me of just a Tibbs player. If you to build a Tibbs coach team, Julius Randle is the epitome of that. Just hardworking, hustles for rebounds, does everything by the book, it feels like. So I think they're good, but I would probably put the Hawks and the Heat kind of maybe above them. I like the way the Hawks play. I think they're vastly underrated. I think their record does not indicate how good they are whatsoever. I think Trae Young is still an amazing basketball player, and has been kind of, I don't know, it feels like he's been overlooked time and time again. The All-Star team this year is kind of an example of that. And then I really the Heat are obviously the team that everybody's going to talk about because of their playoff success, so I can't count them out. But I think the Hornets, depending on who they have on that 1-8 matchup, if that's the way it ends up, I think they're a really sneaky team to get a few wins. I don't think they're going to beat somebody out in a series, but if I'm a 1 seed, I'm pretty afraid of playing the Hornets.
They're frisky. They're frisky for sure.
They're frisky. They've had a really good success against some of the good teams in the NBA when they're healthy, and they've got a lot of young pieces where it's they could run 6-7 man rotations for a playoff series. They don't have to go super deep into their bench to be, they don't have the tired legs like the Lakers have or some of these other teams have, where they're going to have to rest guys. I think a LaMelo Ball could play 35 minutes a night and be totally fine if he's healthy. So
yeah, they're another team that's better than their record indicates, because LaMelo's been out, Hayward's been out, they've had a number of injuries. So yeah, I think it's tough.
It's tough. That's a great question, Jacob. I really don't know. I would pick the Bucks out East if I was to pick a team, and I'd have the Nets second.
Real quick, so I do want to read these off, then we'll get back to this really quick. So the three from my pack were Bismack Biyombo, 7,262 out of 15,000. Kevin Durant, 5,006 out of 15,000. And then Trae Young, 7,843 out of 15,000. So not bad. Very
undervalued
nice
moments. Kevin Durant, just in general. I don't understand the pricing of Kevin Durant right now. I'm sorry, Jacob. I'm not putting out advice to anyone, but he's got 3 or 4 moments on the site right now. If you include the run it back, maybe 5, but just doesn't have a ton of moments. Arguably the best player in the NBA when he's healthy. I'm always very surprised at how cheap you can get some of his moments for right now.
I'm curious. I want to get your thoughts on the Knicks, Jacob, because I know you've talked about being a Knicks fan before, and it's been a lot of rough years for Knicks fans up until now.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on just this year's team? And having not only, again, this year's squad to look forward to, but having such a bright future, seemingly.
Yeah, I kind of look at this season as everything is gravy. I would personally put the Knicks as the 5th best team in the East. I think in a series, at least. I think the big 3 at the top are better, of course. And then I think I would take Miami over us in a series. But I do think we would beat Atlanta or Boston or Charlotte, for that matter. Not that it really is relevant. We'll only play one of those teams. But no, everything is gravy this year. Alex, as a Knicks fan, I'm trained to be super cynical. So literally everything's gone right this year, right? Nerlens Noel has kind of become who he was when he was a top prospect and ended up going 6th overall in the draft. He's been an elite rim protector. We haven't missed a beat without Mitchell Robinson. Obviously Julius Randle having a career year, shooting over 40% from 3. I'm a big psychology guy. I kind of worry of what a contract year will do for him next year, where he comes in and now that we have expectations, what does that mean? So I'm kind of expecting maybe a regression to the mean, which might be good for the Knicks long term. If Julius shoots 35% from deep next year, that means that we can probably lock him up to a contract that isn't a max. True. But I'm just kind of looking at up and down the roster, Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, all of these guys having career seasons. And I think a lot of the NBA and a lot of success in the NBA is predicated on low expectations going into the year. And you can look at the Brooklyn Nets from a few years ago with Kenny Atkinson and D'Lo and LeVert. There are a lot of examples that testify if you go into the season and everyone thinks you're going to be a laughingstock, it's generally easy to clear those expectations. Where teams get themselves in trouble, and the Hawks were on track to being that this year until they made a coaching change and turned things around. But I kind of look at what the Kings did a few years ago, where they brought in Zebo and Vince Carter. When you bring on a bunch of depth, but none of it's necessarily elite depth, and the expectations rise because you look at the roster and it's they have 12 guys that are decent. That's where I think you get into trouble, because expectations are a little disproportional. When I look at these Knicks, I think that we're going to be a fun team for a little while. I think RJ Barrett's proven that he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be an effective offensive player, which was always going to be my biggest concern with him. But he's been shooting 45% from spot up threes out of the corners. Looks pretty fluid and capable in that role. But I kind of maybe challenge the idea that we're super well set up for the future. And again, this is very much coming from the cynical Knicks fan spot, but we have $60 million this year, this offseason. We probably don't bring back Mitch unless it's a relatively cheap or affordable deal, just because we've proven we don't need Mitch to succeed. But before we know it, RJ Barrett's going to be up for his kind of rookie extension or a contract after this. He's got 2 more years before his qualifying offer. Next year, we got to give Julius a new contract, and he'll probably get a max. So I think we have this offseason really alone to bring in a huge name to make it happen. Otherwise, we're almost kind of in the position with Boston, where we have a lot of great young pieces, but we might be forced our hand to sign. This is all hindsight's 2020, and Kemba has been a great player for his career. But I think you ask a Celtics fan today, what's the biggest thing stopping you from being a championship contender? And it's the reality that you have a max contract from Kemba on your books. And I think the Knicks are somewhat close to that territory of, if we don't make it happen, it's almost too late before you realize it. So I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. RJ's in year 2, Quickly's a rookie, but I already feel the urgency of we got to capitalize on our opportunity right now. Otherwise, it's going to disappear before we know it.
No, I get that. I think the other alternative is if they can pull a Nets or a Clippers, where basically you have this kind of year where you exceed expectations and you're the scrappy team that surprises everyone and kind of comes out of nowhere, wins a game or 2 in the playoffs, or if they advance in the playoffs, even better. But I'm kind of referring back to what the Nets and Clippers did. Maybe that's what attracts a star. And kind of we saw with both of those situations, with the Nets,
Williamson.
With the Nets, they moved on from, Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen. They kind of went all in on the stars. With the Clippers, they moved on from Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams. They kind of got rid of some of the guys that got them there. We saw both teams make coaching changes just because they really were okay, all in on right now. So, I mean, the other alternative is people look at the Knicks and they're like, oh, wow, this team's really good again. They have the right leaders in place. They have the right coaches. We're now attracted to that culture and go there. And maybe you don't keep all these young players. Maybe they get traded for another star or something like that down the road. But I see what you're saying. You do, especially with someone like Julius, who isn't 23 years old. He is a bit older. I get what you're saying about the window being a bit smaller than maybe some people think, or trying to act now.
Julius is sneakily very young. I think he's 26.
So but 26 is not 22,
you're
23
right.
Like an RJ.
You're right. And more importantly, he's going to get, if he keeps it up and gets an all NBA this year, he'll be eligible for a super max before we know it. And
scary. Yeah.
At that point, it's like, and part of what makes Julius so successful, part of what makes D-Rose so successful on this Knicks team is kind of the absence of options, right? Like, I think if Julius is playing third wheel on a super team, he's not what he's become. And I think a lot of what he's become is positive reinforcement of he can miss the shot and he knows the next game he'll still get the last shot again. And that's what's helped him succeed.
Absolutely. All right, so let's give this pack away. I'm not sure if it'll let us open it, but if it doesn't, then we'll go back and check the moments anyway. The winner of our giveaway, who entered at basketballnews.com/topshot, is Matthew Adam Unger. Shout out to Matthew. As I mentioned, it is a new contest, so definitely go to basketballnews.com/topshot and enter. We have 3 more packs to give away in the following weeks, so you'll want to go do that. It's super easy to enter. Let's see if we can open this.
And sneakily, I something that people haven't talked about with the Knicks, and obviously we'll open these moments here.
Yep.
The CAA connection, I think, is very real, and I think that they've, that agency obviously has a lot of ties to the Knicks. I'm just going to come out and say it. I feel like there is some real validity to a guy like Zion Williamson if the Knicks position themselves right. I know this is years down the line, but I really do think that they could position themselves very well in the market. Maybe not this year, maybe it's next year, maybe it's the year after, or they could set themselves up for a trade where they get a guy like that back and maybe they give up some assets to do it. But they have a lot of first-round picks, as you mentioned, Alex, and I think that there's some real opportunity there with that front office where they could really, really...
And Zion drooling over the Knicks in that interview or that post-game press conference. That was funny.
It was funny, but like I said, I mean, Austin Brown's his agent, I think is who it is, the CAA guy.
Leon Rose, the Knicks are very connected.
The Knicks hired all these guys for a reason, and I know a lot of people bashed it in the beginning, but if you've seen the successful front offices in the NBA, a lot of them have come from agencies. Like you look at some of these teams and where those talent have come from.
Bob Myers, Rob Pelinka, Arntel. Yeah. It's been
the guys who've landed the big names. Like there's a reason for it,
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, let's see what Matthew got here. I'm trying to hide them a bit so we still have some kind of opening experience. Andrew Wiggins, 11,080 out of 15,000. Let's watch the highlight. Not too bad. Let's go back. I'll try to. Oh my gosh, it happened again, Oliver. Another LeBron.
A LeBron for another winner.
Okay, we have to talk to you about this, Jacob. I don't know if you watch this show every single week. You have so much going on. This is now the 5th person that's won a LeBron from our giveaways. It blows my mind. Like, it doesn't seem possible that we can have this many LeBrons to give away. I, to this day, have not pulled a LeBron for myself, but literally we gave away the one LeBron that we had actually bought. I think it was like 289 out of 7,500. But this is now the 4th person to open a pack from our giveaway and get a LeBron. This is crazy. And this is a good one. 7,632 out of 15,000.
Yep.
Incredible.
I think this is one of
the best moments.
Yeah, it's LeBron. It's a 3-pointer. He's not known for his 3-pointers. One day when they put together a YouTube video of like the best moments from LeBron's career, like this is going to be something that generations from now, kids are going to be debating LeBron versus the next person like we do LeBron versus Jordan. And people are going to be like, no, LeBron was a cold shooter. Look at this highlight.
Yeah. Shout out to Matthew. You just got a LeBron James moment. That is really cool. And again, I can't stress this enough. Anyone who's been watching the show for the past 2 weeks has seen 4 people now pull LeBron moments. So go to basketballnews.com/topshot. Maybe next week you can be our 5th person to get a LeBron moment. It's just incredible. This keeps happening. This is really, really cool. And then we got one more here. Al Horford, 567. That's really low out of 15,000. So yeah,
cereals will be all out in numbers. That's 5, 6, 7 if you're counting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, never mind. I'm done with the cereal mentions. But yeah, we appreciate everybody entering.
Absolutely. Man, that LeBron, props to Matthew, man. I'm happy for him. That's really, really cool. I always love when one of our people that, have entered the giveaway get something really cool like that. So very cool. Definitely enter at basketballnews.com/topshot. As I mentioned earlier, I see people asking about it. It is a new contest, so definitely enter again. If you entered a few weeks ago, this is the second week I think we've done this one. So go enter at that link. But yeah, guys, appreciate you doing this. Oliver, as always. Jacob, you were excellent. Sorry, pepper you with so many questions, but always great to be able to pick your brain. Thanks for your time.
No, thanks for having me, guys. Always a lot of fun, and looking forward to doing it again sometime.
Let's do a Knicks watch party sometime. Let's do a Knicks playoff watch party. First playoff.
Don't.
Wait, are you wearing a Knicks jersey? Is that what that is? I did not.
I
do that.
am.
Oh, that's awesome. There you go.
It's not an RJ. It's my favorite Knick of all time, Pablo Prigioni.
Oh,
hey, that's awesome.
Throwback.
I've got a Prigioni in white. I've got a Prigioni in blue, and I've got a Prigioni sweater. So and we just signed Luka Vildova. So
yeah,
we've got Argentinian point guards in our blood here in New York.
Run it back with the Pablo Prigioni.
I think he's coaching now, right?
He's with Minnesota. Yeah. Don't tempt me with a good time, Oliver.
Hey, I love it. Well, hey, if you guys didn't get your question answered here, definitely go follow Jacob on Twitter, first of all, and then go to his office hours. He does this every Friday. He answers all your questions. So check out his office hours. It's great stuff. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next Thursday. See you guys.
Awesome. Thanks.